Do you believe, just for the record, that the federal government, any part of the federal government, is knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public?
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I also want to just go down the line. I know many of you have already said this, but just for the record again, just briefly, what do you believe UAPs could be or are?
Strong evidence that they are non-human, higher intelligence.
I echo my colleague's comment, sir.
Genuinely do not know.
Don't know, but we must find out.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes. I believe that we as Americans can handle the truth, and I also believe the world deserves the truth.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again after my Chapter 2 video where we reviewed the 2023 congressional hearing. Today, we are going to recap the November 13th, 2024 congressional hearing held by members of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. Okay, this hearing was probably the most criticized by folks in UFO land. I really can't argue with that too much. There really wasn't a lot of significant revelations in this one necessarily, so I will try to keep it brief and really just touch on the most important aspects. The overwhelming theme of this hearing really boiled down to safety risks posed by UAP and lack of transparency regarding UAP, to which both aspects were heavily articulated by the witnesses. If you have time and want to dig deeper, I do recommend watching the full hearing, link in the description below. It does give you much more context into the situation, and it does showcase how important it is that citizens pay attention and demand that our representatives take stronger action on legislation for whistleblower protection and transparency of knowledge that is being withheld from the public. Now, as always, I do have links in the description below that showcase some interviews from some of these witnesses, and I would highly recommend checking them out. They dig deeper into their knowledge and experiences, so they are very insightful. Oh, and Odin helpfully reminded me that if you haven't already, hit that like button below and subscribe so you can get more updates to come, and post a comment in the chat. I definitely want to hear how you feel about this topic and the episode in particular. All those little things are free and easy, and it really helps the algorithm to get the message out there about our crazy reality. Okay, let's get into it. At this hearing, there were 4 witnesses in total, but we're mostly going to focus on 2 of them because the other 2, journalists and a former NASA administrator, didn't really bring much to the table. Well, the journalist did give us a pretty astonishing document, so maybe we'll briefly start with that. Mr. Michael Shellenberger, journalist, founder of Public. Through him, the document entitled Immaculate Constellation was formally submitted to the congressional record. The whistleblower who actually wrote this document has since come forward as Matthew Brown. Interview links in the description of this video, and maybe we'll cover that more in depth with a video later on. The significance of this document, which the link is also provided, is that Mr. Brown shares what he learned as an intelligence analyst. He shares extraordinary accounts of viewing special access programs that are meant to be kept secret, accounts of UAPs being observed, tracked, and captured on various sensory and video instruments. He's seen these with his own eyes. All this evidence is being held on internal systems and being kept secret from the public. Since this hearing, some of the footage filmed on military equipment has actually leaked out and even been made publicly confirmed as legitimate footage by our government. It's definitely worth a read. And again, let me know if you want me to cover it more thoroughly, and we can put that video together for you. Okay, let's dig into our next 2 witnesses. Next up, we have Rear Admiral Dr. Tim Gallaudet. He was commissioned by the Navy in 1989, ultimately earning his Ph.D. in oceanography. He pioneered the Navy SEAL program for unmanned aerial and underwater vehicles to detect enemy forces. He was appointed oceanographer of the Navy, overseeing global oceanographic operations and policy. He retired in 2017 after 32 years of honorable service, having shaped Navy strategy in climate security, illegal fishing, and advanced sensing technologies. Let's have a look.
Thank you for this opportunity to testify today regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. Confirmation that UAPs are real came to me in January of 2015 when I was serving as the commander of the Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. At the time, my personnel were participating in a pre-deployment naval exercise off the U.S. East Coast. It included the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group, and this exercise was overseen by the United States Fleet Forces Command, led by a 4-star admiral who at the time was also my superior officer. During this exercise, I received an email on Navy's secure network from the operations officer of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. The email was addressed to all the subordinate commanders, and the subject line read in all capital letters, "Urgent Safety of Flight Issue." The text of the email was brief but alarming, with words to the effect, "If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having multiple near mid-air collisions, and if we do not resolve this soon, we are going to have to shut down the exercise." Attached to the email is what is now known as the Go Fast video, captured on the forward-looking infrared sensor of one of the Navy F-A-18 aircraft participating in the exercise. The now declassified video showed an unidentified object exhibiting flight and structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal. The implication of the email was clear. The author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of classified technology demonstrations that could explain these objects. Because the DoD policy is to rigorously deconflict such demonstrations with live exercises, I was confident this was not the case. The very next day, that email disappeared from my account and those of the other recipients without explanation. Moreover, the commander of Fleet Forces Command and the operations officer never discussed the subject.
Admiral, flight safety risks for our pilots, based on what you've experienced and seen in your career.
They're extensive, and the one exercise I referred to where I received the email that was then deleted was the pilots, and this is worth bringing out. There are debunkers out there who have said the Go Fast video was just a balloon. That was only one video that was released. There were dozens of these encounters that pilots, friends of Ryan Graves, who's in this room right here, witnessed and caused significant safety concerns. And to almost call out an exercise and shut it down, which is very compressed, and the carrier's getting ready for deployment, and the pilots have to get certified to land on a carrier. It's extreme, to say the least.
Okay, so let's break that down really quick. He's the head meteorologist. It's his job to be aware of all weather and ocean conditions to ensure safety of the people on board his ship. He was sent an email to notify him about these flight safety risk anomalies, and they needed to figure them out. Otherwise, they'd have to cancel the exercise. That is a big deal, because if they have to cancel it, then they won't be considered mission ready, and they won't be approved to deploy, which can really lower our defenses and place other units at greater risk, since this unit isn't there to back them up. He later guesses that the reason the email was pulled was because it was considered to be a very top secret subject, and he believes the person who sent it probably realized or was told that they shouldn't have. He also made a really important point about the Go Fast video and what debunkers try to claim. There were actually dozens of these encounters. It wasn't some balloon. The video released to the public was just one video, and it wasn't even the full video. He also shared multiple accounts that he's been told over the years by people who he considers of very high credibility and integrity, fellow military veterans. People are seeing things, folks. Not just Looney Tunes or people who enjoyed a bit too much of the sauce. Solid, sound-minded people, trained military observers. All right, that brings us to Mr. Luis Elizondo. Yep, that's right. The same guy from the 2017 New York Times article that we covered earlier. He's a former Army counterintelligence officer. He was also a senior intelligence officer and special agent in charge at the Department of Defense. After about 14 years in various intelligence positions, he was tasked to lead ATIP and investigate military encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. Basically the precursor to the UAP task force that David Grush testified to in the 2023 hearing. During the hearing, Lou made some pretty startling statements. Let's have a look, shall we?
Mr. Elizondo, what is your last position with the federal government?
Sir, I was the Director of National Program Special Management Staff, managing a White House Special Access Program on behalf of the National Security Council.
How would you characterize UAPs?
An enigma, sir, and a frustration. We're talking about technologies that can outperform anything we have in our inventory. And if this was an adversarial technology, this would be an intelligence failure eclipsing that of 9/11 by an order of magnitude.
Are there classified Department of Defense materials related to UAPs that you believe could be safely disclosed to the public without compromising national security?
Yes, sir, I do. I would never, ever try to endorse providing some sort of information that could compromise what we call a blue force technology or capability. But I do believe there's a lot of information regarding this topic, and I've been very vocal about it, that should be shared not only with the public, but most importantly, with members of Congress.
Are you familiar with my friend David Grush?
Absolutely, sir. I had the privilege and honor of working with him myself several years ago at U.S. Space Force.
Last year, as you know, he testified that the U.S. has run a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Are there UAP programs operating without proper congressional oversight?
100%. Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies. For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. In my last position, I managed a special access program on behalf of the White House and the National Security Council. As such, I appreciate the need to protect certain sensitive intelligence and military information. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. With that said, I also understand the consequences of excessive secrecy and stovepiping. Nowhere was this more apparent than in the aftermath of 9/11, which many of us remember all too well. I believe that America's greatness depends on three elements: A, a watchful Congress; B, a responsive executive branch; and C, an informed public. Over the last decade and a half, I learned that certain UAP programs were and are operating without any of these elements. Although much of my government work on the UAP subject still remains classified, excessive secrecy has led to grave misdeeds against loyal civil servants, military personnel, and the public, all to hide the fact that we are not alone in the cosmos.
Mr. Elizondo, does any branch of the United States government or defense contractors possess technology?
Sir, there's documentation that I believe was submitted for the record that was approved for release by the U.S. Pentagon, by the Department of Defense Office of Pre-Publication Security Review, and it states one of the reasons why my predecessor program, OSAP, was trying to collect material of unknown origin.
Did you was it successfully collected?
It was not. What happened is that there was an aerospace contract company that requested to divest itself of the material that was collected in the 1950s. Unfortunately, that didn't actually occur.
So let's dive into that. That's the Bigelow Aerospace, correct? So
Yes, sir.
There was a journalist, Christopher Sharp, who said that there was a transfer between Lockheed Martin, Bigelow Aerospace, and the CIA allegedly blocked this. Can you describe that?
What I can say is that it was blocked. Why it was blocked, I can only surmise. I was part of some conversations later on with some of those contract personnel where they had told all of us that is accurate. What we required was a memo from the Secretary of the Air Force in order to make that complete, and that never occurred.
Okay, so we had some really big statements there. Let's just do a little quick recap of some of the quotes. Can outperform anything we have in our inventory. We have some amazing aircraft in our inventory, folks. Question. Are there UAP programs operating without proper congressional oversight? 100%. That breaks our Constitution. Now this one's big. Very straightforward. Let's be clear. UAP are real. This guy's a spook, okay? He's been deep in the background. He knows things. He's telling us, on the record, under oath, that UAP are real. The US is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. China, Russia, EU. He also claims that defense contractors possess the technology. So they've been able to conduct these crash retrievals and start to reverse engineer it. Now, those are the highlights of what Luis Elizondo testified to under oath, under the penalty of perjury, with the risk of going to prison if he lies. This is pretty serious. Okay, this next clip touches on drones. Now, remember, this hearing took place during the first half of November in 2024. The term drones have been thrown around for quite a while. I wanted to review this clip because there seems to be a lot of incursions of quote-unquote drones. They've been occurring for years now, reported over multiple military bases, to the extent that they have to go into lockdown mode of the entire base. They shut it down. And if you recall, there was the whole New Jersey drones fiasco that started toward the end of last year. And furthermore, just during September 2025, a few weeks ago from when this was filmed, we've had numerous reports of drones shutting down various airports all throughout Europe. For some strange reason, with all the military superiority of US and NATO forces, we haven't been able to bring down one of these drones or determine where they come from or who's operating them. To me, that's just weird. There's a lot of info and speculation about it out there, but the point is that it's real. It's been going on for a while now, and it seems like it's increasing exponentially. Let's see what Lou testifies to in this regard.
You're familiar with the recent drone incursion over Langley Air Force Base?
Yes, sir.
The owners of these drones remain unclear. The U.S. military has not been able to give us in Congress an answer. Given your experience with the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, how frequently are UAP sightings over military installations? And secondly, I suppose hypothetically you could have incursions over just, say, regular airports. Is it obvious these incursions are more likely over military facilities than just a random airport out there?
Yes, sir. There's definitely enough data to suggest that there is certainly some sort of relationship between sensitive U.S. military installations also some of our nuclear equities, and also some of our Department of Energy sites. There is a long historical record that some of your colleagues may have, documentation that demonstrates this. This is not a new trend. This has been going on for decades, and that information has been obfuscated, unfortunately, from folks like you in this committee.
Interesting, eh? So you might ask yourself, why? Why would such important information be kept from us? And in this next clip, Lou explains that it's a long-kept secret rooted in national security because of fears that are going all the way back to World War II. And further speculation is that they likely don't fully know or understand what it all means, and it's either coming from fear or maybe they just don't know how to explain it. Let's have a listen.
For what purpose is the federal government overclassifying, because that's what they're doing, they're overclassifying, and forbidding the public from getting access to this? And if you know, if you have an explanation, I'm curious, because I know what I've been told. I just want to know from your perspective, why do they overclassify? Mr. Elizondo, you look like you're finger on the button, ready to go.
Yes, sir. Forgive me. I think there's several reasons. I think at the time when this reality became evident to the U.S. government, we were in the middle of the Cold War with then Soviet Union, and we did not want to tip our hands to what our knowledge base was on this topic. We did not want to broadcast that to
The Cold War's long over.
It is, sir. It is, sir. There's also then the philosophical argument that the Department of Defense and the intelligence community is solution-oriented. And when you don't have answers, it's a really tough spot to be in.
It's easier to be quiet and suppress than if you don't have the answer.
Indeed, sir.
Why are these military veterans standing on their soapbox and pressing Congress to look for answers? Why is Congress willing to take all this effort to dig deeper into aliens and spaceships? Follow the money, as the saying goes. Some estimates show trillions of dollars completely unaccounted for, black budget programs where we don't know where the money goes, $600 ashtrays, $800 toilets. And this is decades ago, way before the egg inflation. These defense contractors are charging us a ton of extra money for frivolous items. What's that money actually going to?
We have a lot more questions, and I hope that this will open the door to more hearings in the future. I obviously would like to know how much taxpayers are spending on this. You have the right to know. But also, if we're spending money on something that doesn't exist, why are we spending the money? And if it does exist, why are we hiding it from the public?
Thank you for spending this time with me and Odin today. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment, share on your social media. It's quick and it's free, and it really helps the algorithm for the channel, as well as spread the word about our crazy reality. And make sure to check out Chapter 3, link right here. It's the 2025 hearing, and it is crazy. It's definitely the best one yet. The witnesses are absolutely amazing. Thank you again. Sending good vibes to you all. Enjoy the journey.